Righto, we are live. I'm going off my phone, guys, so just let me know how the audio and the visuals like. Wait for a couple of people to jump in. So we get messages nearly every other day about grading and who to grade with and pricing and how to price a card. So I thought I'd do another one of these videos. We did one before, it was pretty popular. Feel free to fire any questions you like at any time. How are we looking? Someone drop a comment, tell me it's all good. It's all good. Okay. Righto, so I've got about half an hour to run with you guys. It might be too long for me talking and you might crack the shit, so it's all good. But first thing I want to talk about is pricing. So I get asked all the time, what's this worth, or how much is this, or how much is that? Your best bet is eBay, okay? A lot of guys use that 130 point, which is fine. I've never had much luck with 130 point. I find it a little bit slow for what I want. Now, when I use eBay, I use ebay.com, not ebay.com.au. Right, that's the American database. You do get all that in the Aussie one, but I find I get better results and quicker results when I go to this. First and foremost, when you're selling a card, it is your card. You can sell it for whatever you want. All right, if you've got, let's just use Zion because there's heaps of Zion. A Zion Williamson PSA 10. That one's at auction. This card here. All right, PSA 10. It's yours. You can sell it for whatever you want. If you want to get $10,000 for it, put $10,000 on it, okay? When it doesn't sell, don't be upset, okay? So first and foremost, it's yours. You sell for what you want, okay? When you're looking at eBay comps, everyone talks about comp prices. What's the comps? What's the comps? When we type in Zion Williamson, PSA 10, and we'll go Prism, and we have a look through here, there's one there for buy it now for 206. That is not a comp of that card, okay? Can you see that all right? Yeah, it's a little bit blurry in the background. $206 is not what that is selling for, okay? There's another one there, it's on auction for $172.50. There's another one there for $328. There's another one there that's an auction for $34. Another one there for $215. You need to come across into this left-hand column. Scroll down. You will find sold and completed items. You click that button, okay? Now we start seeing what they've actually sold for. All right, so this one was an auction on the 5th of April. This would be pretty much latest comps. Let's not talk about choppers just yet. Let's just get through these comps for now. That is a comp price, all right? $193.50. This is US dollars. We're on the US website, all right? At about 40% to get you to convert it to Australian dollars. So 200 plus 40%, I don't know, $380 odd Australian. Now, if you want to get $10,000 for that card, cool. Put $10,000 on it, right? You're not going to get it. If you want to sell this card, you want to be around these comps if you want to get a quick sale. Most people will try and, as a buyer, you want to get it for as cheap as possible. As a seller, you want to get as much money as possible. You need to be around that $193.50 to get that card sold relatively quickly. All right, so that's pricing. We always go to sold and completed items. We don't look what people are asking. Asking price and sold prices are different. Right. I got a question before about a card a guy can't find comps on, and that happens a fair bit. It was a Kevin Durant, so we type in Kevin Durant. It was a Spectra Auto. Now, we go through here and we'll see there's heaps and heaps of Kevin Durant sold. There's one to 20 with an auto and a patch. It's sold for $222 US. There's a colored one. Looks gold. That might be to 10. It's sold for $799. There's a 10, $585. This is US dollars. There's in the zone one there for $281. Chubba won't even be on here. No one sold it. You won't find Chubbas on eBay. There's a Spectra patch that's been graded. It's a Gem Mint 10, so that's $1,500 US. There's another one for $771. So this is for Jordan Whiteford. Jordan, that particular card that you sent me, this is where you're going to go to, mate, and try and come up with a price. Okay, try and find one similar. You got a patch. There's another patch one. It's been graded. It's $477. So these are around the $800 mark Aussie, I suppose. But there are ones without the patches there for about $400 or $500 too. So I hope that sort of answers your question. We can do the same thing when we're looking for numbered cards, right? A 101 is really tough to comp, right? But what you need to do is try and find similar players to get an idea of what a 101 would be. Let's go. No, it's going to be too hard, actually. It takes a long time. We won't do it. So let's say you had a Trae Young 101, okay? And you don't know what the price is. What you can do, have a look at the 1 to 5 and see if there's a sold comp for it to 5, or see if there's a sold comp for 1 to 10, right? And let's say that 1 to 10 sold for $100, the 1 to 5 sold for $500, so we know the 1 to 5 is worth 5 times the to 10 one. Then find a different player, because we can't find the 101, and see if they do have a 101. If that 101's $1,000 and the 1 to 5 is $500, you can get a ballpark and say roughly that 101 is probably worth twice as much as a 5 of 5. It's all about trying to find something similar, because otherwise trying to price a 101 is really tough. All right, let's go to which grading company now. A lot of questions about grading. I use the site Sports Card Investor. It's a cracking site. It shows us all the market movers for the week. A lot of market movers in baseball this week, but we're going to go basketball. All right, and we see that quickly his hoops has come up. JJJ's on the move. Jalen Green. Poodlehead's moved up again. GSW must be going well. But we're going to use Zion again because Zion's got heaps of comps because he was really popular last year. Is Jonathan coming out a good investment? I know that was just to try and make me laugh at coming out, and it worked. Chubba graded RPAs. They won't grade them, Glenn. They'll send them back and say not worth it. Luke Tucker, who do I use? And well, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that now. It works the same, Glenn, NFL and NBA. I'm only using Zion because he's got heaps of comps. When you click on this in Sports Card Investor, we can go to charts. All right, this is to help you decide which grading company you use. I only use PSA and BGS. All right, I don't like the SCG labels. I quite like the hybrid labels. So the first question, again, you need to ask yourself when you're going to grade a card, am I grading this to make money? Or am I grading it because I like the card and I want to keep it in my collection? If you like the labels of some of the lesser grading companies, PSA, BGS at number 1 and number 2 all day. SGC is probably number 3. Hybrid grading, HGA, I quite like their labels. Some of them are cool. This is free, Glenn. This one's free. You can pay to get more detailed charts. This chart only goes for 12 months or something, I think. 30 days, sorry, not 12 months. When you pay the money, you get to the you can get the better ones. It does take a long time. So yeah, if you do pick BGS or PSA, you're going to have these cards away for a very long time. I've got a set away now that have been away for over 12 months. But my investment in these things is more for the dollars. I'm hoping that they become more valuable. I'm not attached to too many of them. There's quite a few that I am attached to that I'm going to hold on to. So that's your first question. Am I doing it for money? Am I doing it for myself? If you're doing it for money, you use PSA and you use BGS. If you're doing it for yourself, use anyone. Just get it in a nice slab and get it nice and clean. But these charts here will show you a PSA 10. It moves with my hand there, doesn't it? Let's move it in. All right, so PSA 10 for Zion. Currently, we're around that $220 US. Okay, we've seen some comps there around 190 on eBay yesterday, so that's about right. Now, the beauty of this one is that we can drop down. If we get a PSA 9, what are we going to get? Well, we're only going to get $60, right? So the PSA 10 is worth about 5 times what the PSA 9 is. Let's go to a BGS 10 pristine. This is the best you can get. Look how much the price goes up. We're at about $1,000 US, right? That's 3 times the PSA 10. A BGS 10 pristine is really, really, really tough to get. That's why they're worth so much money. Okay, but if we go to a BGS 9.5, we're looking around at 117, 130 odd dollars. So a BGS 9.5, 130 versus 60 odd dollars for a PSA 9. So keep all this in mind for later on we're deciding who we're going to go. PSA don't do half grades. Yeah, that is Black Label. PSA don't do half grades. If you don't get a 10, you get a 9, right? BGS do subgrades. So if you've got something a little bit wrong with it, that we don't think we're going to get a PSA 10, and we think we can get a BGS 9.5, we go to BGS. I like the BGS slabs better too, 100%. I reckon they look heaps nicer than the... I've got a couple of examples of them here. Where did I put him? Here he is. All right, so have we got a Mickey Mouse card that we think is going to get a PSA 10? We send a PSA. Is it out of control, minty, everything is absolutely perfect on it? We can try BGS and try and get that pristine Black Label. Very, very tough. Let's go to SGC 10. All right, we're around that $110 mark. Remember PSA 10, 200. BGS 9.5, 117. SGC 117. So a BGS 9.5 is selling for about the same as an SGC 10. That's why I said Mickey Mouse, absolute perfect card. We think we're going to get a 10 from BGS. Very, very tough to do. That is the only way to go. That's going to be worth 5 times anything else. PSA 10, there's nothing wrong with the card. Then we probably want to run with PSA. If we don't think it's going to PSA 10, we'll go to a BGS. Now, PSA have this on their webpage. It tells you what they're looking for in a Gem Mint 10, okay? In a Gem Mint 10, basically everything's Mickey Mouse, but the difference between PSA and BGS is the tolerance to borders and centering. They will allow a 60-40 on the front and a 75-25 on the back. So we can have something slightly off center that if it doesn't, they say if it doesn't affect the overall, if it doesn't impair the overall appeal of the card. Okay, so if we've got a little bit off with our bordering and our centering, and we can still look at that card and go, geez, that's not bad, you can still get a 10. BGS aren't like that. BGS, if you do not have a perfect border around your card, you will get marked down. And if you get marked down to a 9 or an 8.5 or an 8, then your subgrade and your overall grade is going to be rubbish. And I'm going to give you an example of that now. So here's a Ja Morant that got sent away. Yeah, I've got that for you now, Heath. I do have a centering tool. I don't use it anymore. I find I don't have to. So look at this Ja Morant. This is one of the very first cards I ever hit. It went away with Blunt. It was away for a very, very long time. Let's not talk about that. I got a 9.5 for centering, a 9.5 for corners, a 9 on our edges, and then the surfaces, they only gave me an 8. Now, I didn't get to look at this and clean it or anything before it went away, but I've got no idea. I can't see any scratches or any... Oh, okay, Glenn. I'm going to crack this and send it to PSA, and I'm going to get a 10. Because if I can find a surface imperfection, I'll fix it. But because I've got an 8 on my surfaces, the best grade I can get is a half a point above my lowest grade. Now, if that was a 9, I would have had 2 9.5s and 2 9s. I probably would have got a 9, 9.5. So I'm absolutely gutted that that thing got an 8 on the surfaces because there is nothing wrong with the surfaces. The fact that everything else is 9.5, centering, corners and edges, this is definitely getting cracked and going away to PSA. When I talk about the overall appeal of the card, here's an NFL one. There's a Joey B. It got a 9. The surfaces are quite clean on this one. See that border there is smaller than that border there. Whoever's assessed this has decided that it has affected the overall appeal of the card. So I scored a 9 for that. No, they don't, Luke. PSA don't. PSA just give you a 9. So when I look at this, I know the surfaces are really clean because I cleaned this one myself. So I'm looking at that border and they're going to me, well, it's probably a centering issue. Whereas this Joey B scored a 10. Now, if you look at this one, that left-hand border is slightly thicker than the right-hand border. But they've deemed, whoever the grader was, it's very subjective, this one, the grader's deemed that that doesn't affect the overall appeal of a card. Now, you need to remember that when you're buying cards too. When you see a Gem Mint 10, have a look at the card still. Because this could have just as easily scored a 10 and been off center. Someone could have given that a 10. It's very subjective, the grading. Yeah, that's right. That scored a 10. We've been a little bit off center. I've got 2 of them actually. The other one's a little bit better. Okay, so our 4 criteria. Our 4 criteria, what we're looking for is corners, centering, edges, and surfaces. So I've got a couple of examples here of different cards, right? So here is a Desmond Bain. Now, I put some fingerprints on that. I don't know if you can pick that up. See my fingerprints all over there. Now, you see those dotted line going down there? That's a bit of excess wax. But when I look at this card, overall appeal, when we look at those borders, now this is very easy to do with optic because the borders are the same all the way around. Oh, I covered that earlier, Jordan. You must have missed it. If you replay the video, mate, well, it's at the start. We went through the Kevin Durant one. All right, so we can see this card straight away while we're looking at it. It's got some surface issues because there's gunk all over it. But when we look at the edges, you know, overall, that's pretty close. Now, that still isn't 50-50 bordering. This side here is slightly bigger than this side here. You can use a, I'll do a cleaning. I'm going to clean this one up for you heaps so you can see the difference. You can use a ruler. Use a ruler. Now, 60-40 rule, 6 mil, 4 mil, 3 mil, 2 mil. That's 60-40. That's why that Joey B probably scored a 10. It's within the 60-40 tolerance. So they're really easy to look at as far as, I've got some other examples here. We've got a nice clean border all the way around. If we look at a select card, see that edge there, that little triangle and that little triangle, they're about the same on both sides for that select Premier level Derek White. Shit, Derek White, it's number 2. Number 249. That centering, top left to right, is not too bad. Top to bottom, look at that blue border there compared to that blue border up there. That's a thicker border than the one down the bottom. Is it going to be 60-40? Maybe. Maybe we'll get away with that. Not sure. Here's a Hero that scored a 9. The border that we're looking at is the gap between the black there. I'll get a pen. We're all fancy. The black from there to the border, see that is smaller than that black to the border. So it's thicker down that side. So again, you can see that when you're looking for it. So it probably did affect the overall appeal of the card, and that's why that one only scored a 9. Here's a more extreme example with Mellow. Look at that. Look at the size of that green border there compared to the thickness of that green border there. So that one is pretty poorly off center. I wouldn't bother grading this one at all. Unless it was like a 101 or something and I sent it to BGS or a low numbered one. Prism. Here's a Patrick Williams Silver. Again, visually when we look at it, yeah, Luke Freeman, I'll put you onto a site. There's PSA Grading Australia that I send all my stuff through, mate. It's a piece of piss. They give you the, they'll send you a spreadsheet. You punch in all the details, you send it down to Lane at PSA Australia, and he sends it all the way for you. And I think he actually probably works out a very similar price than doing it direct, and you don't have to worry about it. All right, when we got a Prism card, overall appeal, we don't look too bad. Prism, look at the triangles. See, there's a triangle there, and there's a triangle there. They're about the same size. Look at our triangles up the top. There's a triangle. There's a triangle. Very similar size. We can check on the bottom too. Top to bottom bordering is the thickness between the black and the border, and the black and the border about the same. Overall, that card is pretty minty looking. Now, I'd have to have a real close look under a magnifying lamp to check the surfaces out, but I reckon that would be a PSA 10 candidate. When we look at the back, we've got this nice red border we can check. Now, when we look at the back of that, it's not as centered as the front of the card is. So PSA allow a 65-35 on the back border, which would be within tolerance. VGS, I'd be a bit more worried about getting that done. Here's a nice silver Okoro auto. Again, we're looking at triangles. Small triangle, small triangle. We're looking at distance between there and the black. There and the black. We're looking between that black border and the top, and the black border and the bottom. The black border on the bottom is thicker than the top one at the top. Does it affect its overall appeal? Maybe. So that might be better off going to BGS and scoring a 9.5 rather than copping a PSA 9. What else we got? Spectra. A bit tougher to tell. What are we looking for? Some of them, like Mosaic, we don't have borders to work with. All right. Sometimes Mosaic will have that big name down the bottom. We can work on that. So this one here, when I'm looking at the centering, I might look at between the Kings logo and the bottom, and the rookie logo and the top. If they're pretty close, then, you know, I don't know what they actually use on centering on that particular style of card. Another one, Donruss, nice and easy. I've got a few Okoros, guys. I reckon he's, I was talking to Mr. Osman last night. Now, when we get to these, this guy's awesome too. He's my favorite fighter. When we get to thick cards, right, this is a 1 in a 130 point card. These are very, very tough to grade. Anything bigger than a 25 point card, which is the majority of the cards that we break here, we don't have to worry about edge damage, and we don't have to worry about corners, right? They're generally pretty good with those ones. Big, thick cards like this generally always have an issue with corners, right, and edges, because they're thick. Now, I got real lucky with this one. It's pretty minty looking. Look how dirty my fingernail is. It might be a bit tough to see. See that? There's just a little bit of goo going on down there. A little bit of fluff on that. There's a little bit of a dent up the top there. Overall, that ain't bad. But most of the times when you see me in a live, I'll shout out if there's any corner damage or any soft edges. I do that so you know that I didn't do it, first of all. But second of all, you know, you maybe not that crash hot of a candidate for grading if you've got those edge damages going on. All right, so the last one I wanted to touch on, guys, is the cleaning part. We've asked a few questions about that. All right, I start. Clean piece of paper. Okay. Let's roll that down there. Okay. This is not the cleanest of rags. This is not the one I'd use for grading, but it's one of those microfiber cloths. You can buy them at Woolworths for like $4 or $5. All right, you can get a whole. I think you can get 3 of them for $4 or $5. So I use a microfiber cloth to wipe them. Now we're going to use that Desmond Bain because I did make it. See the finger marks all over it. See the wax, right? And then we'll talk about that edge fluff. See all that fluff across the top of the card? That's not that great to have. All right, so placing the card down. Now, I'd have a glove on. I would have a glove on this hand because I don't want to get my fingerprints back on it, all right? All we're going to do is make small circles on the card. All right, we don't ever wipe that way on a corner, because if we pick that corner up and nick it, then we're going to cause some damage. So when I do corners, we push down and we work to the outside. We work that way all the way along the edges. So that little scratch there is going to take a lot of buffing out. It will come out. We will get it minty. All right, so that will take a lot more buffing to get out, but I will be able to get that stuff out. But notice all the fingerprints are gone. So now we can start looking at the card a little bit closer. We can see, I'll try and get it close enough for you. Doesn't like with the light. See just there, that's a little tiny ding on the surface. That's still excess wax that I will be able to get off. But I've got a magnifying lamp that I would stick this under. I'd be able to rub that long enough to sort that ding out. But see, all the fingerprints are now removed and we've got a nice clean surface. Now, to get rid of this fluff, all right, I just use a bit of sticky tape. So just sticky tape on my finger. I'm just going to gently touch. I'll be very careful on the corners. See, we've got rid of all that fluff. And I'll just see all that fluff there on my bit of sticky tape. So that took all the fluff off the corners. Now, I should have said before I started this, I'm by no means an expert when it comes to card cleaning, but I do have a pretty good strike rate with PSA at the moment. I'm sitting around 80% with PSA 10s. I probably spend about 45 minutes per card when I'm getting these things cleaned up, right? But that is how you roughly, we do the back as well. On the clean surface, we'll wipe all that down. I'll spend a bit more time on that Desmond Bain and get rid of all that. But that's basically how you clean a card. When that's done, fresh top loader, fresh sleeve. Don't use the sleeve that come in. All right, we want to avoid touching the edges on everything. And we need to use the grading top loader when we send it away. I'm just going to stick it back in this one because that's what I got. All right, anyone got any questions? Was that helpful? I missed a few questions because I was concentrating on what I was doing. So what's the go when they say pop? Pop means population, Heath. I don't know if I'm able to find it that quickly on here for you, mate. But in the PSA website, you'll be able to look up your card. Let's say we look up this Tyler Hero. Your pop means how many there are. Population. Glenn Baker, how much is PSA? PSA only have the $1,000 grading open at the moment, mate. I think they're about $80 or $100 a card. I've got two questions at once. So let's just go to, we had a few questions on this one. So we go PSA. PSA Australia is the Facebook group, sorry. It's called The Hobby. The Hobby is their website. But if we come back to here, search Facebook, PSA Australia. I'll put the link up on the page. So PSA Submissions Australia group, there's 5,500 members there. All the information that you're going to need to send to PSA is on here. The Hobby is where he has the status of everything. So you'll go to submission status. you'll find where you are down here. So just to show that I'm not, well, I know bullshit anyway. Well, I do, but not with this stuff. I was in the March submission, and Con was too. There's Con, and there's me. So I'm in C500, UM4, Joel Adamthwaite. So come back up, scroll down here. March, was I March or February? Maybe that was February. March, C500 M4. So I submitted on the 31st of March last year. It tells me it's in grading at the moment, and I should get them back by the 16th of May. So yeah, I hope that covered your pop. Pop is how many of those particular cards they are. So if it's pop 1, if that was a pop 1, that's the only Tyler Hero in existence, pop 1. A lot of the auto cards, or just the first guy to get his card in there, will say pop 1. They use it as a selling point. It may be, but if it's a brand new card and there's not many done yet, then who cares? If it's an older card and it's the only one that's got a PSA 10 or a BGS 10 or whatever, then yeah, it probably does command more money. When you look at Zion and JAR cards, there's something like 20 or 30,000 in the PSA 10 population. So it's yeah, the pop report. You can look up PSA and find the pop report. Top loader and a grading top loader. Have I got a grading top loader? Yes, I do. Here's one here. Here's one that I'm going to send away for grading. Soft one, Glenn. They're a soft one and they're just easier for the grader to pull out. Bit of a pain in the arse. You can send them in top loaders. When you get into the nitty gritty of the grading stuff, you want to make life as easier for the grader as you can. You send him one of these and it might be a pain in the arse for him to get it out, and he's having a bad day. And then he's like, oh man, stuff this guy. I'm going to mark him down just because I can. They recommend that you send them all in these grading sleeves. They're just the softest sleeve. It's easier for them to get out. A lot of time they just cut the card open anyway. That's a Luke at 25. Then I'm going to send them my next lot. As far as, look, any extra info, guys, or you want my input into cards, especially cards that you pull here, because I can look at them. It's really hard for me to go on a photo, because you see how close you are to get to the card, and I've got to use a magnifying lamp a lot of the time to see what's really going on with surfaces. There you go. On the back. If you've got a card here, I can check it under my lamp, and I'm quite happy to do that for you. I've done that for a few guys. It is, when you look under it under a lamp, you will see a lot of things that you missed on the eye. And when you start cleaning a card, you might find more things that you didn't really see on the card. Does it do your head in with the people flooding the market grading ship-based cards? Well, I know a lot of purists don't like it, Glenn, and they talk about the hobby, the guys that always talk about the hobby. But look at a Zion base card. That Zion card we looked at before is a base card. There's probably 100,000 of them in the world. If you can get a BGS 10, that's $1,000 card, $1,000 US. As a base card, it's $50-$60. So why wouldn't I send it in trying to get $1,000 for that card? Long term, as the market and PSA let more and more of this come out, we already see it with Zion. Zion PSA 10s down to $190 US. They were around $600 US about 8 months ago. It hasn't helped with Zion that he hasn't played for 12 months. That's certainly affected his price. But yeah, as more and more come onto the market, they are going to get cheaper and cheaper, and people will probably not do it for a while. And then all of a sudden, oh, you mean just straight base cards? Then yeah, I wouldn't. But again, we go back to where we were at the start, Glenn, about what we talk about, why you're doing it. You might have some, look at Con and his Vikings and Josh Nealman and his Lions. Those boys just love them. They love their cards to bits. And if they're doing it for a bit of protection for the card because they're going to have it forever, then yeah, no worries. You obviously wouldn't be doing it for flipping money because it costs you $100 to get that card graded. And, just a no-name veteran, you ain't going to get your $100 back for it. No, they get all packed up. When you send through PSA, mate, I wouldn't be too worried about it. They're all insured. He's got insurance on it both ways. He was on the page for a long time, but he left me. I don't know, I must have said something that upset him. But I'll post a link to his page, and he's quite happy to answer questions. But most of the information that you want to find is on the thing. So I'll just show you some of the. No, it won't. That's another one that I'm going to send away. Eric got me that one. That's numbered to 15, 11 of 15. So again, I'm not sure how it's going to go, but we'll send it away. I don't know what to look for as far as centering goes on this sort of card. The bottom border looks thicker than the top border, but it's supposed to be because the Mac Jones is bigger than the Patriots. All right, fire away, guys. We'll leave it going for another. Well, we've been going for 35 minutes already. If there's any more questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, I'll bail and we'll go live for NFL. If I missed your question earlier, I didn't mean to. Luke Tucker loves it. Thanks, mate. I'll save the video and throw it up on the page. And if you've got any further questions, mate, just reach out. All right, well, I guess I'll finish up. Anyone in the NFL break? I can't believe this took so long. Look at all this cool shit we're about to break. Clearly, Illusions Hobby. PSA opening Australia. Yeah, I don't know, Chester. No, Glenn. I'm going to get a PSA 10 all day on that thing. I don't know, mate. I know that they spent a lot of money in the States to boost up the States. I don't know why they bother, I suppose. You know, it's cost a lot of money to move out here. They can just do it all from where they are. I don't know. I know there's more and more smaller grading companies opening in Australia. You know, there's ones that pop up every now and then. The other big concern you've got to have with a newer grading company is some of the grades they'll be giving. There's been all fake cards going in there and being graded by people that don't know what they're doing. You know, again, if you just want the slab done to protect your card and you like the look of the label, go for it. At the end of the day, the big money ones are PSA and BGS. I really don't know on that one. More Javonte, Green, Baines, Select, Auto to 99. I reckon he's definitely worthwhile. James Campbell, Baines been playing pretty well. Anything with an auto and numbered is going to hold its value a lot more than any sort of base card that you got. So definitely do that. As long as send me a picture, I'll be able to tell you the centering left and right. Send me front and back. And as clear as you can. I won't be able to tell surfaces or corners, but I'll be able to tell centering. All right, in a couple more minutes there, guys, and we'll wrap it up. All good. Righto, champions, thank you. NFL, guys, will be live in 5-ish. Just go have a little tinkle and we'll go. Righto, all right.